It's sunny Sunday in Cairns, and I just made a fairly major purchase, sort of indirectly related to the trip. Well, it is related to travel because I desperately needed a new laptop computer, and so I actually just bought one. I did a very quick um, review of what's on offer at the moment, which particular type of laptops are around. I had a few considerations to take into account because the one I've got is about a 17-inch screen, which is quite large, which is great considering I've got bad eyesight, but it does have a practicality problem. Two things: it makes the laptop a bit heavier, and secondly, it's a bit more awkward to put in my backpack. So what I've done is I've actually done a compromise and gone for a 15.6 centimetre screen. So it's slightly smaller, but the clarity of the picture should be a lot better. It's a much higher density picture, so full HD picture. It's an Asus as opposed to an Acer which I had previously. I've also got an upgraded chip in it. It's an i7 Intel chip as opposed to an i5, and I did that because I do video editing, and I've found that my desktop that has an i7 chip in it renders much faster than than what the laptop did, the old laptop. That's the other problem too. The old laptop's on its last legs, literally. It's really getting to that stage. It's about, it must be about seven years old, and it's showing its age. And it has had a lot of use over the years. The battery doesn't even work anymore. I had it removed because it was dangerous when I was in Vietnam, and so it doesn't have full functionality. And the new laptop, the Asus one, actually has a solid state drive. It's the same size as the one that was in the old one, but there's no moving parts, so it's much faster to access, less chance of anything stuffing up as well. So just a much better laptop all round, and it's definitely lighter. The other one was over 2.2 kilos. This one's about 1.8 kilos, and that's the other reason I picked it. I bought through eBay. I was going to go through Centacom, which is a legitimate company which I've used many times, and they've been quite good, but I was able to save $50 on buying through eBay using a voucher, and it's free delivery, and the feedback for this particular seller is very good, and they've done a lot of work. They've sold a lot of stuff, so it all sounds pretty legit. Hopefully early November I'll have the new laptop, have plenty of time to run it in before I go overseas. The other thing I was planning on doing is actually using the old laptop, taking it with me on the trip, putting it into my main luggage. And I mean, if it gets mangled in the luggage, big deal. It's on its last legs anyway, but it just provides me with a backup. So I just feel more secure having another laptop just in case. So that works out well all round, I think. But look, I've been upgrading stuff all year. I did it with my phone, and I did it with my camera. And the camera I'm using now is the old Sony. That's the original I bought, but that was after the GoPro anyway. So I've had this Sony probably for about 4 or 5 years. I got it while I was up here, so maybe 4 years ago. And it's a good camera, and I think it should last me for a while. The only downside of this camera is it's bulky and it's a pain to take on overseas trips. But at least if the laptop's a little smaller and lighter, it won't be quite as bad. But I would not buy a Handycam model again because they're just too bulky. And if you do want to travel, then it's just not the way to go. However, I will bring it along because I'll use it in the same function I'm using it right now. I'll put the on the tripod and use it for doing videos in the hotel room. I found a hotel right next to the airport that has a free shuttle to the airport. It's about within a kilometre of the airport, because when you actually travel to Thailand currently, you need to get that second test done as soon as you arrive, and you need to quarantine for 1 night. So I thought it'd be better to do it at the airport, keep it simple. I also got a place that's reasonably cheap. It's only cost me about $34 for the night, so it's reasonable. It's not like I'm paying for the nose for the place, and I get a free upgraded room, and I get a 10% discount, a Genius discount, because I've used Booking.com before. So it's not a bad deal. So that'll be a nice start. I'll take a little bit of the pressure off, and then I'll book the other place from the following night. And that allows me to actually change my money at a place near the airport, which gave me a great rate last time I was there a few years back. Because the last time I was in Thailand, I was actually in Phuket, and it was just before I had to come home because of the COVID outbreak. So it would be around 2 years ago. Actually, yeah, almost on the nose, 2 years ago since I was actually there. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just got to be careful with expenses in a place like Phuket. It's a tourist place, so it can be expensive. But at least there's plenty of nightlife. And if the grab bikes are as good as what I've seen online, I checked out the price to say travel from Phuket town, which is a decent distance from Patong Beach. If you get one, the rate I was quoted is about 80,000 baht. 80 baht. I'm thinking bloody dong. I'm thinking we're putting the 3 zeros on. You don't have to do that with baht. No, it's about 80 something baht, which is, maybe $3, a little over $3, and it's quite a few kilometres distance, so it's not a bad deal really. That's on the bike, so I'm quite happy to use the bikes around there, and it'll give me cheap public transport, and it's a great way to travel, to see a place when you're on the back of a bike. So we'll see what I can do there. I didn't see that as an option the last time I was in Phuket. I did get a grab taxi, but I had to get a grab taxi anyway when I think about it, because I had the luggage. So I don't think I was even looking for the bike option. But no, the bikes are really cheap. So if you ride here, it's great. It's just like Vietnam. Slightly more expensive, but quite reasonably priced. And I enjoy it. I just enjoy being out and about. I also want to thank people for their feedback yesterday on the video, because I was looking at the Airbnb option. When I think about it, I can't really do that. I don't think I'm even allowed to do it, because the actual rate that I got for the stamp duty rate is on the proviso that I'm living here for the first year and not renting the place out. So that may well break that particular agreement. I don't want to do that, because that's saving me thousands of dollars. So I forgot all about that. So that's another thing to think about, plus the fact that I do have a mortgage, and the mortgage rates are based on this not being an investment property. So again, you may not be allowed to rent a place out. But then again, that may still be possible. I could certainly check it with my housing person at the Combank, my go-to person. She's very easy to get on with and contact. So, but look, I don't think I'll bother. I think the house sitting is the way to go. It's a much better option. So yeah, I'm not that desperate for the money. It's nice to have a cash flow, but when I get back from overseas, it'll be time to probably pick up some extra dividends too. It's about that time of year, so good timing, because no doubt my credit card might be a little wonky. I've also got to look into insurance to make sure that the insurance policy I get covers me in case of it's not just a matter of worrying about getting back into Australia and getting back into Queensland due to their quarantine laws, because I've got a horrible feeling they're not going to make that 90% vaccination rate even in April when I'm returning. There's a chance they will, but I'm a bit concerned, because it's like I said, it's only 62% at the moment. So they've just got it too high. That's a ridiculously high bar to put on. I think it should be reduced down to 80. It's just crazy. But I'm not a big fan of anaesthesia, so that doesn't no great surprise to me. But the other thing I was going to say is that I want insurance to cover me just in case that second PCI test shows that I'm positive, in which case I'm forced to quarantine in Phuket for 2 weeks. and at one of their quarantine hotels, which is going to be prohibitively expensive. So I'd like insurance to cover that. So, and the other thing I was thinking about coming back to Australia is that if they haven't done that with the 90%, if they haven't had 90% vaccination rate, and they're still making people like myself quarantine in Queensland, maybe the best thing for me to do would be to go down to Melbourne, get a flight down to Melbourne, stay there for a couple of weeks with my cousin, if they're okay with that, and then that means I'd been in Australia for the last 14 days, and hopefully that means that it may not be required for the quarantine. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's all very confusing, and it just seems crazy that you actually live in a place you can't return to it because of these regulations. Just over the top, in my opinion. But anyway, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who disagree with me there. They're freaking out about. They want to reduce they want safety first at all cases. They don't care about their individual freedoms being squashed. It's just about safety. That seems to be the norm in Australia, and it's we are a risk-averse society these days, and I think we've gone too far. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? Apart from all that, though, I've got to say I'm feeling great. I haven't felt this good for years, to be quite frank, and so I'm really looking forward to going away, and I think I'm going to have a good time. So I'll have to have a medical checkup. I'm going to get one in about a week's time, maybe 1 or 2 weeks it is, and but personally, just the way I feel good. I feel really good. I mean, like I say, I could do a 10-kilometre return trip up to the shops, and I don't feel particularly bad, especially if I do it early in the morning when it's cooler. So I'm feeling really good and looking forward to seeing a new a different culture, a foreign culture, which is what's that's the great attraction of going to a place like Thailand and Vietnam. It's very stimulating being in a foreign country, and and I actually watched a video that the Tiger sponsored, I think, because they've got this English guy who does these little documentaries. They're quite good actually, and he was doing one on how hard it is to leave places like Thailand if, say, you're an expat or you've been on a long trip, which I've experienced myself leaving Chiang Mai. I found it very difficult leaving. It was quite tough, especially when I had to come back to Melbourne. I'm finding that feeling isn't nearly as strong when I'm returning to Cairns. I like living in Cairns a lot more than Melbourne, and I look forward to coming back here a lot more than I did to Melbourne. So I think that sort of says something, and that's way before all the lockdowns and everything. That's just a general sort of feel. I mean, the weather at the moment is superb. I'm in a fantastic natural environment. I've got my own place. I mean, I couldn't get a place at this price anywhere near Melbourne, for instance. And I've got it near the beach. I mean, I just think it's astonishing. I did see in the Cairns, local Cairns rag, that they said that that there was a feeling that real estate was going to keep going up here, and I think that's right. Although apparently in the States, it looks as though their bubble may well have burst. There's a big real estate company called Zillow. I was watching another video today by a guy who keeps tabs on this, and he said that not only have they stopped buying properties, this company, they're the biggest real estate company in America, they're actually trying to dispose of their portfolio of properties, and a lot of them they're selling at a loss. And why are they doing that now? Because they can see that the market's going to be even worse just down the track. So real estate is going to be in all sorts of trouble in the US. US has got a lot of problems in so many ways. It's not funny. It's a divided country. Biden has actually done more to divide America than any other leader, in my opinion. And the fruits of his... he brands himself as a uniting force, and he's the total opposite. I mean, typical politicians are just shockers, and he's one of the worst of the bunch. So yeah, America is a very divided country. I mean, you got California who actually hung on to Gavin Newsom. I can't believe it. They made total massacres in that state. They're just crazy that they had a recall option with the election. They could have booted him out, but no, he's in until his re-election the next year probably. Unbelievable. But America is different to Australia in that there are states that don't have lockdowns. I mean, New South is the closest to some of the like Texas or Florida, but really we don't have that same extreme where you've got the sunshine belt in America, which is quite relaxed with the COVID restrictions compared to places like New York and California, which are closer in resemblance to Victoria or New South Wales during that heavy lockdown they had. So it is a very divided country, and I think they're in for a very rough run. And my prediction is that the Democrats will be massacred at their midterm elections next year. I can't see them turning this around, but in politics things can change. So Australia, I don't know what's going to happen with our election. That's an interesting one. I would have thought Morrison's going to have a tough run, but then again, when people have a close look at Albanese, maybe they won't be so enthusiastic about ditching the Liberals. I mean, I don't know. I'm not overly enthused because I don't like the local member here, Warren Edge. I mean, he was one of the guys who pushed for the zero carbon policy. He's a real greenie. I mean, he's a pretty left wing Liberal member. So I'm not a big fan at all. I think that's insane. I think this whole global warming thing's been way overblown as well. Just you have to look after the environment, but I think there's so much money to be made by scaring the crap out of people. That's basically the bottom line. Follow the money. I always say that. Anyway, that's probably about it. There's a lot for me to think about. I've bitten the bullet. I've spent about $1,200 on this new laptop today. Hopefully it won't be a dud. I think it's a good move though. I think you go overseas in these days, you need all of the electronics to be up to scratch, because I remember when I went to England, I think it was in early 90s, we didn't have any of that technology then, and they still printed expat newspapers in places like Earl's Court. Those days are way behind us. Now, in a way, it was more of an adventure back then because you were genuinely more isolated. I remember when I came back from America in '87, I remember telling a passenger on the plane, an American guy, I said, "I'll beware that when you go back to," because we're going to Melbourne, and I said to him, "Just be aware that when you're in Melbourne, you won't be able to shop all those extended hours that you'll be able to in California." But as it turned out, in that interim time that I'd been over there, it was about 11 weeks. It was quite a long trip to LA. And in the interim, Jeff Kennedy changed the laws and extended shopping hours, so they had much more liberalised shopping hours, and you could shop on the whole weekend. So I had egg on my face there, but again, it's not like that these days travelling. You've got basically information from anywhere in the world at your fingertips. And in a way, that's good in a way, but it's also, in a way, not so good because the travel experience is diluted to that extent that it's not as much of an adventure. So anyway, that's enough raving from me today. As usual, please give me thumbs up, thumbs down, give me comments. I always enjoy the comments, especially when they're helping me with my arrangements for travel. I appreciate what people said yesterday. They were spot on. And of course I can ask people to subscribe, but it looks as though that's falling on total deaf ears. So yeah, what's the point? Flogging a dead horse, that one, I think. Anyway, have a great day, and I'll catch you soon.